Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing Neckzilla and Big Ramy. I'll be using Ramy's 2020 Arnold Classic version as I believe that it'll make the matchup a bit fairer as he wasn't 100%. Now, both of these guys have the largest quads I've ever really seen, so it will be interesting to see how they stack up against each other. Keep in mind that the camera angle and lighting play big roles in, how these two will look against each other, and that sizing is never 1-to-1. Now, before the video does start, if you guys enjoy my content, a like and sub would be much appreciated. With that all being said, let's get into this video. Alright, here's the first pose, the front double, and right away you can see those monstrous quads that both have. They show similar levels of mass and separation in the quads too. However, Ramy seems to have a bit more separation while Rubio has more size. Midsections are equally as unaesthetic, but I've got to say that Ramy has a better V-taper due to those great lats. Ramy also has an amazing set of arms which look to be twice as large as Rubio's. It seems like Ramy also has better, drier conditioning in the upper half too, as Rubio looks a little bit soft in the midsection and arms. Between the two, I'd probably have to give Ramy an edge in this pose, as his structure is just superior in the upper half, and he has much better arms and conditioning. The front lat spread is a dominant shot for Ramy. His lats are much better than Rubio's, and his width is super imposing. Additionally, those quads look to be much more separated for Ramy, while possessing similar levels of size and quad sweep. Now, Rubio does look good here, don't get me wrong, however his structure isn't nearly as good as Ramy's in terms of width. He has a great set of lats too, along with an arguably better chest. However, he falls behind in conditioning. I just think that Ramy is a little too much for most people in this pose, and here is no exception. Here's the side chest, and this is definitely a close one. Both have very impressive side legs in terms of size and detail, as well as very large and full upper halves. Starting with the lower half, it appears that Ramy shows way more separation in the quad ham tie-in, along with overall deeper cuts throughout his side leg. Rubio has amazing definition and size, however those deep cuts aren't nearly as pronounced. Upper body wise, it is close. Ramy wins the chest and delts, however the arms are close and Rubio wins the midsection. You can notice that Ramy has way more striations in the far pec than Rubio, and that brachialis on Ramy is just super defined. That being said, Rubio has some roundness throughout that entire upper half, along with some very competitive conditioning too. Personally, I would say that I prefer Rubio's aesthetics, however, objectively, I think Ramy would win this pose. The rear double is a pose where Rubio starts to make up some ground. His back looks much thicker in the lower half, and his traps are twice as thick as Ramy's. Moreover, Rubio showcases much more hamstring separation. However, Ramy has some great glute striations and an amazing set of arms. I'd say that the lower body is definitely much closer than the upper body, since both have comparable conditioning and size in the legs. However, Rubio does smoke Ramy in the back, while Ramy wins the arms. Honestly, between the two, I'd probably go with Rubio for the win, because his back looks much more complete, his legs look shockingly good, and his arms don't look nearly as out of proportion as they did in the front double. The rear lat spread may be a different story than the last pose, as Ramy seems to really dominate in the width department. I feel like in some years, Ramy doesn't really hit the rear double to spec, however, he always hits a ridiculously good rear lat spread. His traps look super defined and wide, his lats are great, and his lower back doesn't look all too bad. Rubio does have a more pronounced lower back area, however, his traps don't pop out at you, and his lats don't look nearly as impressive as Ramy's. The lower body is a similar situation as the last pose, as Ramy wins the glutes, while Rubio wins the hamstrings and outer quad sweep. In my opinion, I'd probably have Ramy barely winning the shot. His back is just a bit better than Rubio's, since those traps and lats look ever so slightly better. Here's the side tricep, and this is a pose that Rubio has dominated in almost every comparison that I have made. Here though, Ramy definitely puts up a great fight. Ramy wins the arms and the shoulder, however I'd give Rubio the midsection and chest. Upper body wise, I'd say that Rubio presents his physique in a much more aesthetically pleasing way, while Ramy shows off his sheer size and mass. The side leg is close once again, however I'd give Ramy the advantage as those deep cuts and separation is really off the charts, and he still maintains a level of mass comparable to Rubio. I don't know though, Ramy wins the lower half while Rubio wins the upper one. This one could go either way, however I do prefer the aesthetics and posing technique of Rubio, so I would subjectively pick him, but let me know guys, who would you prefer in this shot? The ab and thigh is a rather close pose for both, as they both have very similar attributes. Both don't have the best sized midsections, however they do have outstanding quads. Ramy once again shows off his deeper cuts in the quads, while Rubio shows that he has just as much mass with a decent level of separation. Looking at the midsections, Rubio definitely has a far better set of abs, however Ramy's midsection looks to be smaller due to his wider lats and structure. Honestly though, Rubio looks to have a very comparable V-taper, and looks a lot fresher and more aesthetic in the pose. So on one hand you have a more aesthetically pleasing guy, that being Rubio, and on the other you have a more conditioned guy, that being Ramy. Personally, I've got to give this one to Rubio as he looks surprisingly good. I just don't think Ramy's abs are aesthetic at all, which throws off the pose for him in my opinion. Here's the most muscular, and this is a pose that really highlights their freaky size. Rubio immediately draws my attention in this shot as his traps, arms, and chest look tremendous. Ramy has some larger arms though, and I love the way that he shows off his insane width across the shoulders in this pose. He does look a bit soft in the upper body compared to the other shots, however those legs show so much more detail than Rubio. I personally like, the way that Ramy hits this pose, as he looks really wide and big, however Rubio looks equally as impressive and dense. So I'd personally go with Ramy, but let me know down below, what do you guys think about this pose? Alright guys, that about does it for this video. Personally, I think that Rubio could definitely push this version of Ramy. I also think that he could defeat the more recent versions of Ramy, like the 2023 Arnold or even the 2022 Olympia, since he has very comparable size in the lower half, along with a much fresher looking quality to his muscles. I really do think that Rubio can go extremely far in this sport, as his structure and genetics have allowed him to put on a freaky amount of muscle already. Anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you guys think of this comparison, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.